How many hats do you have to wear to make your author impact? Okay, so you have one that's a writer's hat, and maybe your second one is your author hat. That third hat, that is your authorpreneur hat. And you probably didn't know you had to wear that one too. In fact, most authors get really comfortable with the writing hat. I mean, you have to write a book to make a book happen. So most of us learn the ins and outs of authorship. And we know that becoming an author requires us to publish a book and all of that fun stuff too. So those two hats get really comfortable. But this authorpreneurship thing isn't something all of us know. And it isn't something every author realizes that they've actually signed up for. And I promise you that if you are writing a book and you want people to buy it, you are an authorpreneur, whether you like it or not. Last week, during a live stream that Jennifer Crosswhite and I host on Wednesdays called Beyond the Page, we discussed insights into authorpreneurship and what it would take for you, my author friend, to make this year your year to own the authorpreneurship hat. I am excited to invite you into that conversation on today's episode of the Empowered Author Podcast. Ready to dive in, my authorpreneur friend? Let's do this. Hey, I'm Stephanie Fager, and Empower is my middle name. Well, okay, not really, but y'all, I really think it should be. I believe that empowered people empower people, and I'm obsessed with empowering you, the nonfiction author, with impactful marketing strategies to help you take your important message and share it with those who desperately need it and want it and will buy it. I am the owner and chief strategist of the Empower PR Group and the author of 3 books myself, including my new book, Make Your Author Impact, Sell More Books, Increase Your Reach, and Achieve Your Why. I've been called to merge my love for reading books, writing books, and marketing books to help nonfiction authors with laser-focused strategies and tactics to write books that sell, promote those books to those who need and want them most, and build meaningful businesses from empowering messages. That just so happens to be the topic of today. Think of this podcast as your one-stop shop for marketing insights from an author who has been there, done that, and understands exactly where you are, because I absolutely, truly do. So get your pens ready, because I'm ready to empower you. This is the Empowered Author Podcast. Do this on Wednesdays, Jen.
It's
Hi.
Wednesday. Yes, it's the last Wednesday of January.
It is.
Yeah, isn't that crazy to think about? Like, we're already 1/12 of the way through the year.
How are you feeling? Oh, a 12th of the way through.
Actually, pretty good. Pretty good.
Right.
I do a rolling quarter planning. So like the beginning of the year isn't like, oh my gosh, I got to do a whole thing. I just have to add another quarter to it. So I've been doing that for several years now, and that's really helpful. And really, we focus a quarter at a time. I mean, yes, we have the whole year, but the other 3 quarters are a little more foggy, right? You just block some big things in. My vacation is on the calendar. Very excited about that. I have a vacation coming that actually is going to be a part research trip. So the book might come out of that. So, those things get on the calendar. I was just thinking the other day, this is a much better January than last January.
Ditto for me too.
So businesses have a season and they ebb and flow. And this is very true in the book business, particularly. There's authors that have record years and authors that have really bad years. Coming after the lockdown and the pandemic, where everybody was home and reading way more. And then last year when things opened up, people were traveling and not reading as much. And so you saw authors have reduced royalties, and sometimes that's depressing. And you just have to realize that's the nature of the business. Like it's not
it's not you.
It has nothing to do with you. Your core readers are always going to love you no matter what, right? They're always going to want to read your books. And in some ways, it's a better sense of who your core base is. And then if you attract extras, that's icing on the cake, right? But your core readers, they're the cake. So
they're the cherry.
All the
they're
time.
The funfetti icing. Yes. No, you've got the funfetti cake. That's your core readers.
Yes.
And then the extras are the icing. That's my favorite kind of cake, Jen. Well, well, you mentioned Jane. I was actually talking to a friend of mine, another small business owner the other day, about business and the ebbs and flows of business, and how Seasonalities happen. So like in January, some businesses get a big push of energy. Others, their clients are inching out of the holidays and they're not ready.
Right.
Sometimes I find in this industry, in the book industry, people will see a book writing as a bucket list. So
Yes.
sometimes that energy comes fast early in the year. Other
Yeah.
times it doesn't. But you bring up a really interesting point, and of course today's topic is on authorpreneurship, which is awesome. But to be effective in building and growing your business, I like how you mentioned you do rolling quarters. I mean, I look at things as at a year. I did do a
Mhm.
plan this year, but I normally don't do a big business plan.
Mhm.
I am far enough in business now where I have comparative data,
Mhm.
and so I can see
Very
things,
helpful.
yes, and figure out like where do I want to go. But literally just this morning, I have made a pivot on something we're doing to try because I don't like what we're getting from it. Like it doesn't
Mhm.
feel like it's a good, it's not worth my energy or time or our energy or resources. So we're nimble enough to shift. And
Yes.
that's
Yes.
key. And so like
It's
you looking at
very key.
like a rolling quarter creates that nimble mindset too. So if first of all, like I want to level set and then I want to get your thoughts on that. But today we're talking about authorpreneurship. And if you don't know what that means, it's pretty self-explanatory. You're an author, you're an entrepreneur, all that loveliness collides. Welcome to this new
Yes.
world. If you have written a book, you are one.
Right. Whether
Done.
you like it or not. I mean, I
Yes.
will say the little caveat is there are some people,
Mm,
and this is perfectly fine and wonderful, just want to write a book and don't really care about how
right.
far it goes. It's just for
Right.
friends and family. It's just something on
Yeah.
their heart they've always wanted to
Right.
do, and
Yeah.
that's all they want to do. And that perfectly fine. It's a lovely thing. It's a wonderful legacy to leave for your family.
Absolutely. It is.
So, but we're not talking about those people. We're talking about people who are writing as something where they do want it to bring in money. They want it to make an impact. They want to have a speaking
Mhm.
career or sell courses or have some sort of extra
Yeah.
whatever, right? Or you're writing fiction and you want to write a series.
Right.
You want to have income coming in from it.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
is now a business and you
It
have to
is.
put on your business hat. So you have a lot of hats in this business. You have your writer hat, you have your marketer hat, you have your business owner hat, and that really surprises a lot of authors. They're not prepared. They might have heard they have to do marketing, but they're often not prepared to run a business, and that is where things get a little bit sticky. But we can help you with that because that's what
Well,
we're
it is.
doing.
Yes. So what I tell others too is I did not want to create a business, Jen. Are you kidding?
Oh, I didn't either. I mean,
Or
if you'd asked me 20 years ago, do you want to be an entrepreneur? I'd be like, are you
no,
crazy? Why would I want to do
no.
that?
I will never forget the day that my husband, who's a physical therapist, came to me and goes, "There's a coworker of mine, and the two of us are talking about forming a business." And I was like, "Well, that's why. Why would you do that?" And he's like, "I think it'd be fun." And I'm like, "Okay, it feels too risky to me, but
Right?
okay." And
Yes.
so then he goes, "Well, would you help me?" No, he didn't even ask. I was listening to him, trying to like navigate it all, and I said, "You need a
Mhm.
plan. I'm gonna just go sit down and create a business."
Right? You need a
So I
plan.
created a business plan for him, and then they didn't even his friend ended up forming a business, and Corey didn't
Mhm.
go with him in that. And I looked at all that. I'm like, Corey was the one that wanted to do this, not me. I didn't
Yeah.
want to do this. I wanted to
Right.
retire with a pension and like,
Right. A
a nine
steady
to five.
paycheck.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
but, call it God, call it capital L life, you call it whatever you want.
Mhm.
Sometimes your plans
Yeah.
and their plans don't collide, and the book
Right.
bug bit me, and when it did, this evolved, and I wouldn't want it any other way, but I do tell my husband on the
Right.
regular, "Jen, you couldn't have done it, dude." Like, I'm like, "I love you, but all of those hats that you have to wear," I'm
Yes.
like,
Yes.
you would have imploded. Like,
Right.
it's not easy. So
It's true. It's
yeah,
not.
I don't think
It's
that
not.
I don't most of us don't wake up and say we want to become an authorpreneur. Although in
Right.
today's world, after post-COVID pandemic, I think there's a more open-mindedness to what a flexibility of what that entrepreneur world and
Mhm.
solopreneur world can look like. But I do want you to realize if a book is on your docket and you want people to buy the book, you are a business owner. You're dealing with things like sales tax. You're going to get something from Amazon that you have to like report into your income. You are dealing with a side hustle,
Yeah.
right? Now,
Yes,
if you look
absolutely.
at it as a side hustle, it your books won't sell, my friend. Like they won't.
Yeah.
It's an extra thought, right? I mean, you might sell some, but it's if you dive in and really just embrace the fact that you are an authorpreneur, then doors open, your listening ears are percolated, and you
Yeah.
start to realize that many times your readers are telling you the business that you need to build.
That's really true. And it does change and morph over time. You certainly can't be expected to know exactly what it's going to look like from the very beginning.
Oh
You
gosh.
will start getting your feet wet and then adding more as you get more confident with things. You'll add other things to it. And I think you can make it as complex or as simple as you'd like it to be. I know authors at every level of complexity with their business, different income streams. I mean, there are authors that do Kickstarters to raise money for special editions, obviously authors that have podcasts, authors that have their own store on their own website. Those are more complex things. Or you can simply just decide Amazon's going to be your distributor and put your
Yes.
book up there and keep it simple.
You don't know until you know, and when you know, you can't unknow. And I
Right.
think that's true in so many things. I didn't know what I needed to know about entrepreneurship or
Right.
authorpreneurship until I created a business to fund my book business. That's why I created
Right.
Tweets. Then
And
I
I
knew,
love that. Like,
yeah,
that is
right?
such a
I love
creative way. And you guys need to grab Stephanie's book, Making Your Author Impact. But she goes through the story of it. And this is one of the things that when you're running a business, you have to invest, right? You have to have some sort of investment, time, money, some combination of the two.
it.
And this is where people get really creative to come up with the money to invest in their business. So if you were going to open a McDonald's franchise, you would need to get a lot of capital
Yeah.
to do that, right? If you're going to open a lemonade stand down the street, you still need capital to buy the ingredients and to make your
Mhm.
stand and all that, right?
Mhm.
So two very extreme examples. Books are in there closer to the lemonade stand part. but but I love what Stephanie did because you taking that idea and saying, "Oh, I'm going to create a product. I'm going to make these wreaths and sell them to fund my book." I love that. And so I think this is that kind of thinking outside the box. Creatives are very good at that. And
Yep.
so we need to think, hey, how can I fund this business? What are some ways? Do I
Yeah.
swap things with other people? Do I do something else? Do I sell some things? What do I do to create the funds and your budgeting for your book and how much things are going to cost? And there is wide varieties of things. You need to have an idea of what you can put in, what you can afford. Again, as I often say, nothing is set in cement. So you might start off. I did this. I've put new covers on all my books.
And they're
Inexpensive.
gorge.
I did inexpensive covers to begin with. And then as I had more money and more sales, I put in even better covers, which I love. I love my cover designer right now.
You're right. So, okay, I want to, for those who don't know the full story, and I'm not going to share it all, but you did a great highlight. But I do want to acknowledge sometimes if the authorpreneur journey, you need some seed money, peeps. Like
Hmm.
you're going to need some. Now you don't need a ton, but you
Yeah.
need some,
Yeah.
and you need to figure out what that is. And if I could unintentionally build a business based on something that people could go to the store to purchase
Hmm.
and not only make enough money, but have to do sales tax and like, I mean, in over 2 years, I sold, taught people to make over 1,000 wreaths across the
It's
US.
crazy.
If
It's
I can
crazy.
do that, you can too. And it all boils down to figuring out it's what I call the authorpreneur equation. Your unique skills. What's your unique value paired with your readers, your clients' unique needs
Yep.
equals a marketable solution. If you use the wreath as an example, I made a wreath for Christmas because I thought it would be fun. I had never made a wreath before outside of like one with like little picks I put on the front. It was
All
cool.
right.
Still have it. And I'm like, sorry, I need to deconstruct that sucker because it's bad. But I made one for Christmas because my brother-in-law got a new home, and I was like, this would be great. And then I posted it on Facebook because I was proud of it. And the next thing I know,
Mhm.
a wreath business started. And
Yeah.
then I started to listen. Someone goes, do you sell these? I'm like,
I do now.
yeah, like, no, yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
And then I used it as actually fodder for building an author platform because I told every person, hey, I'm writing a book. Thank you for funding my dream. And
Right.
so I not only did I build a business and learn things like how to be able to sell wreaths in the Walmart parking lot, right? Like I knew that I needed to have things to meet people. So now I know to carry books with me, and I knew the importance of having Square. Like if someone said, "Oh, I don't have any cash," no problem. Got a credit card processor.
That's right.
Mhm. I learned things about understanding turnaround time and messaging and budgeting, and I learned things that helped me become an authorpreneur. And so look at every part of your authorpreneur journey as learning. If you're going to fail, which for anybody that runs a business is going to
It's
fail forward.
experimenting.
Yes.
Yes. You
Learn.
learn, right? You learn what
Mhm.
works, what doesn't work.
Yes.
And you can't, and I like to say I'm a recovering perfectionist. So I don't like to get things wrong, right?
Nobody
If I'm
does.
going to do it, I really want to do it right the
Yes.
first time. But
Yes.
there's some things you just are not going to know. You just
Exactly.
won't
You
know
will.
till you try something, you do it, you see what happens, you get data. You now have more data
Yes.
points, and now you have more information so you can make a different decision. And
Yes.
so I've just decided it's not failure, it's learning. It's
Yes.
learning, well, this didn't work or that didn't work. Also,
Yes.
things change over time. The market changes,
Absolutely.
Amazon's algorithm changes.
Absolutely.
And so you're constantly having to readjust. I think it's a lot more like sailing a boat and adjusting to like
In
currents and
sales.
winds
Mhm.
than like driving on a train track, right?
It
It's
is.
it's just a
You don't
constant
know things
adjustment.
until you've tried it, and then you go, "Oh." So, if you have written a book or are going to write a book, and if you are at a point where you go, "Oh, I didn't even know that there's more to this book thing," than writing the book and marketing. Like, there could be more. There's a couple of tips I wanna leave you with to kind of think about. The first is the authorpreneur journey can be as simple, quote unquote simple, it's not simple, but as streamlined and focused as you are a author and you write a book or
Right.
books. That is your journey, right?
Yeah.
And that is one sector of it. But I find working in nonfiction, many people who write nonfiction and others, I've seen fiction author, you're living
Sure.
proof of the fiction space too, right? But people, your readers, and the people around you will start telling you things. And this is where
Mhm.
listening is so pivotal in
Yes.
authorpreneurship. But
Yeah.
they will start asking questions like, how do you do that?
Mhm.
Would you do that for
Mhm.
me? Oh,
Mhm.
well, I really need this. I'll never forget, Jen, my first book. I had a girl I used to work with. I do not have this offering in my business because I'm a train wreck. But she goes, when you decide to do life coaching, I want to be your first person. And I'm like, me? He's like, yes. And I'm like, oh golly. Whew, I am really broken and I need life coaching. But what I learned from that is we live in a world that is full of filters, and I'm vulnerable. So what
Yeah.
she appreciated in the my first two books, which are memoir and a bit more about perspective and balance and redefining
Mhm.
success, what I realized is she was asking for help, for someone to help her weed away the chaos and focus on what matters. For as things evolved for me, I started to uncover really that what people were wanting is help in their book journey, which is where the Empower PR group was born. But listen, most people in the author space, these are a couple of things that I know could be derivatives of your authorpreneur business. You could do coaching,
Yeah.
you could do consulting. There's a difference.
Yes.
Not many people know, but there's a difference. You could do done for you, done with you, or DIY.
Mhm.
You could have additional products like
Yes.
you could have t-shirts or
Or
whatever.
even a workbook
A
based on your
workbook.
actual book, a
Yes,
workbook version. Easy, super
absolutely.
easy derivative product.
Absolutely.
Audiobook is another derivative
Audiobook.
of
You could
it.
do an online course.
Yep.
You could do, gosh, I mean, like the list goes on. You could
Mhm.
host retreats.
Yep.
You could
Workshops, speaking,
exactly. All of that can
conferences.
generate revenue.
Yeah.
The other day, someone asked, like people always ask, like, well, how many books have you sold? And what's in alignment with your success? How is a book successful? I said, listen, that is so nuanced based on the authorpreneur and the author out there. But the
Right.
reality is for me, I couldn't do what I'm doing now if I didn't write the books, right? And
Yes, the book opens the door. for
It's a
many of the
for and
opportunities.
I didn't know
Yes.
that I wanted to do these things. That's where this
Right.
nimbleness comes in. You don't
Yes.
know.
Right. Yeah. You
Like,
don't know.
you don't
But
know.
you're right. What you said is so true. When you have that book out and it opens the door, then people come to you and they start asking for what they need, or they start seeing things in your book and your message that they
Right.
want. And now you realize, oh my gosh, I didn't realize there was a market for that. I didn't realize people wanted that. But sure, I can provide that. And so now you have this whole thing you never thought of. And that goes back to your whole point about being nimble. Yeah,
I
you
love
find sometimes you don't know how much you love something till you do it. And that is a big that's part of the big adventure of it, is getting new experiences and discovering new things about yourself, and in the whole process. That's part of what makes it so enjoyable, is that you're constantly learning, you're constantly growing and developing. As we said at the beginning, I never wanted to be an entrepreneur, but now I can't imagine ever working for anybody else.
part of authorpreneurship is a listening to what your readers are telling you you need, but it's also to me equally as important as identifying what you like doing, what you find
Mhm.
joy in, and what you have capacity to do. Like, it's
Yes.
a win-win. This is a beautiful thing. So just because someone says they want it and need it doesn't mean you're that solution.
Exactly. And I do see authors, especially at the beginning, trying to be everything to everyone and
Me, I was trying to do that.
yeah,
I mean, we all
exhausting
do,
yourself. Yeah, we do at the beginning because we don't know as we're
right?
sorting things out. And then you get tired, you're exhausted, you're like, I don't ever want to do that again. So I'm
You
not
don't
offering that
ever.
anymore.
Don't make me ever do
Yeah.
that.
And so that's part of the journey, is learning, where do I love being? What do I want to do more of? What do I want to do less of? And again, most of the time you don't know that till you've done some of those things a few times. And then you're like, yeah, okay, I have a better sense of this now.
Yeah, and you also then at that point know what's worth my energy and what's not. What brings
Yes.
me joy, what has impact,
Yeah.
and how can I really help people? Because at the end of the day, I'll be the first to say, if you decide to write a book and build an entrepreneur business for the money, go work for someone else. Go do that.
Right. Yes. The book
It's
sales, the odds of you, and I forget, I'm going to get the statistic wrong, but I'll be in the ballpark.
yeah,
95% of authors make something like less than $1,000 a year. Like,
yeah.
and like
Like
half
that.
of all books don't even sell a copy, which to me
Mhm.
is ridiculous. It's like, very
I
minimal
mean,
effort to move a few copies, right?
a lot of books
Um,
don't make it over a couple hundred in their
right.
lifetime.
Yes, even through big traditional publishers sell less than 500 copies. And
Yes.
so that
Yeah.
those are sort of a re you know, those are numbers to keep in mind, but they're also numbers that are pretty actually easy to get over, right? So think about the fact that your book isn't don't put all your eggs in the basket of the book bringing in income, but look at the book as the door opener to
Yeah.
create these other things, these other opportunities for you. And that's really how it works, is more of a tool than actually the money making product.
There is so much
Yes.
more and so much to learn about the craft and the business. Writing is just a part of the puzzle.
This is so
It
true.
it
And
is.
there are many authors, and I would love to just write all day. I wish, I
Ditto. In the
really wish
mountains,
I
put me in
could.
the mountains.
And yes, wouldn't that be lovely to just be able to do that? But there is so much more to it. It is a business. Again, if what you all you want to do is write, that's that is a perfectly fine thing. Just calibrate your expectations to,
Absolutely.
what you want to work on, what you want to spend your time on.
Absolutely. And remember that the book is a door opener. It could be a business card, but it also
Yes.
is you. The book, it is a written form that allows you to reach people you would never reach otherwise. But people
Yes.
buy from people, people connect with people. You
Yeah.
are the person behind the book. Your readers may be begging for you as a solution in their business. So don't be scared. Don't be overwhelmed. Don't be immobilized by authorpreneurship. Break it into small chunks, little bite-sized pieces. Look at things in a quarter. Be nimble. Be willing to evolve, because you will
Yes.
grow. And find your people and hang out with
Yes.
people that see you and understand you. I see so many entrepreneurs doing great, beautiful, successful things. And actually, Make Your Author Impact, we have a whole section of the book on authorpreneurship that can give you
Mhm.
some advice and some ideas and things to think about. But absolutely don't be scared of it. If this is your year, If you've written the
Yes.
book or want to, and you see it as maybe your opportunity to take a step into the unknown, you can do it. I believe that you can do it.
Totally can do it.
The authorpreneur equation may sound simple, but to many authors, it's not a simple addition problem. Your value plus your reader's needs equals a marketable solution. So it always adds up, I promise you, but sometimes you find yourself having to solve for the unknown. Throw away those addition and subtraction cards and bring out algebra. And when you do, there are a few things I want you to consider. First of all, listening is the best piece of advice out there. Your readers will tell you what they want and need. If you listen for it, they will identify specifically what their needs are for you and what they will invest in. Now, your value is your differentiator. What do you do that no one else does? And that's tough because many times we think we see other people doing exactly what we do. But you are a part of that, and your unique experiences come together and makes you a differentiator. So when paired together, those two pieces, you get to decide what types of offerings you have by identifying this beautiful merge of what your readers need and what you enjoy doing. I would love to brainstorm with you what your authorpreneur hat needs most. Visit empowerprgroup.com/connect and let's chat. All right, author friend, thank you for listening today and for saying yes to becoming empowered. As you know, I'm a believer that empowered people empower people. I've empowered you. Now it is your turn to go empower others.